Hi guys, my name is Rick.
Nice to meet you, Rick. I'm Jack.
Jack, nice to meet you. We just met. We didn't have any pre-talk.
No.
So my questions are gonna be right away.
All right.
Yeah,
You're
please.
just gonna hold her? Perfect.
No, I want you to put this on your.
Stick her on there for me, boss.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beauty.
Awesome. Thank you. So, what I want to ask first is, where are you from?
I'm from Canada, from a small little town called St. Thomas. It's about 2 hours south of Toronto.
Wow. When have you joined the Ukrainian army?
I officially joined and signed a contract on the 1st of this year. I originally started assisting the ZASAU last year, well, in 2022, September. I spent 4 months here doing logistics runs and supply runs to the front, delivering medical supplies, uniforms, whatever we could get our hands on for soldiers. About halfway through my first trip, that transitioned into us training the 72nd Mechanized Brigade before the defense of Vuhledar. We were there up until the Battle of Vuhledar happened. All of our students that did the initial defense fought incredibly well. It proved to us that training was an incredibly valuable thing. So after I went home for a few months, myself and my friends, we formulated a plan to come back and just work as instructors for tactical medicine and tactics, trying to bring in whichever foreign elements we could with the knowledge that we could give to Ukrainians to help them survive and help win the war. And so I came back out in June.
I wonder, sorry
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, I wonder if they're gonna hear anything because of the dude playing the trumpet. Maybe we gotta let him finish.
Dude, he's going off. Look at him go. Oh, shit.
Do you like this song?
Yep, I do. It's one of those like early war songs that really brought like Ukrainian culture and knowledge to like the rest of the world about like what Ukraine was about.
Yeah.
I remember, I can't remember the fellow's name, but that guy from Boombox that sung this song
Yeah.
in Kiev or whatever. And it's kind of always stuck with me ever since then. I've always liked the song. It's cool to see like people do renditions of it and play it live and stuff like that.
Yeah, really so cool. Woo! Woo! We were the only two guys who...
We have the best attitude. We're full of positivity.
Yes. That's so important to stay positive in these dark times,
Man,
right?
the way we look at it is either you laugh or you cry. There's kind of two options, so it's just better to laugh.
Yeah.
It's easier to get through it that way.
I think
Like,
if you cry at war, you're not gonna live for long.
no, it's a mental game as much as it is a physical game, and keeping track of your mental is very, very important. Being around good people that make sure you're okay and you make sure they're okay is also very important. It's fundamental, realistically. A good team is the most important thing. So I'm very lucky that I work with a very good team for the most part. Like now, I'm a drone pilot. It's a bit of a change from being a tactical medicine instructor. I did my first combat op 3 weeks ago now. It went about as horribly as it could go. Our position got blown up. The Russians hunted us with artillery for about 9 hours.
Crazy.
We did an exfil with no body armor or rifles or anything because it all got blown up. So best thing we could do during all that was laugh. Like, I just made jokes the whole time. I didn't really know what else to do. I was like, either we can laugh at this or we can just sit here and be scared the whole time and this is going to suck a lot more. So we just kept making jokes and eventually we got through it. But shit sucked. I did not enjoy that.
I can imagine.
That was a bad day. It all started, it was like the morning, people were like, my team was hitting me up, they're like, yeah, you should stay for like 3-4 more months. Like, stay even longer than you plan to. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. And then about 5 hours later, I was like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. This sucks.
Okay, so I noticed your awesome Callsign there on your code.
Dude. That's my last name.
Really?
Yep.
How did it happen?
I
I didn't know they
Like,
existed, those last names.
so, the Dutch have a last name, Jack Groot. And I guess, like, when my grandparents moved to Canada or immigrated to Canada, for some reason they dropped the "duh" in front of it and it just became Groot. And so when that stupid ass movie came out, it turned out to be a really good nickname for me and it kind of just stuck. Now, the wild thing is I'm not the only Jack Groot that's a drone pilot in Ukraine. I met another one whose name is Jack, his call sign is Groot, he's the same height as me, we look alike, and he's also an FPV pilot. And that was a really weird experience.
Wow.
I was just like, this shouldn't be possible. There should only be one Groot, let alone one Jack Groot. Like, I don't know how this is a thing, but the dude was really nice. It was really funny. We took a bunch of pictures together. Yeah, like
That's a funny story, I must say.
yeah, dude, and it's a perfect name. Like I'm tall, I'm lanky, I look like a tree. I'm definitely not a superhero, but
You also have a deep voice, so I think you can sound like Groot too.
I could try. Yeah, you Groot.
Okay, you're an FPV pilot.
Yep.
What do you think? I mean, I don't know. There are so many questions I could ask about FPV. What are the biggest challenges these days with FPVs? For you
Electronic
guys?
warfare
Yeah.
from the Russian side is really,
How good
really
is it?
strong. Oh, it's really good. It's great.
So it really gets down the percentage of successful usage of drones?
It'll stop it completely when they run the electronic
No,
warfare.
no. I mean, what percent is currently being successful if it's not the secret information?
Feels like a 50-50 type thing,
Oh,
right?
really?
Like it's kind of like a coin flip all the way along from the start of flight to the finishing of the flight. You need the drone in the system to work to be able to fly. Sometimes weather can screw with that, sometimes electronic warfare. Then when you get to the target, you need your drone to actually explode. Given that we as like a whole fighting force are using, like homemade kits and improvising as best we can to try and make solutions and make effective weapon systems, there's always going to be errors. So sometimes your FPV hits the target, but it doesn't explode. And we still don't know if that's the explosive that's the problem, or if it's the detonator that's the problem, or just bad luck. Nobody really knows. So that's a thing that happens probably like 30% of the time. The drone just doesn't go off. Weather, like if it's snowing, raining, foggy, you can't fly. It becomes impossible.
You mean about the visibility?
Yeah.
That you can't see
But
anything?
also with like snow and rain, because all of the circuits and the circuit boards and everything on the drones are open and exposed to the air.
Yeah.
As soon as water gets in there or snow, the snow heats up, turns to water, melts, and then causes short circuits between the equipment, which maybe that's a reason that the explosive boards don't detonate sometimes. Who knows? So fighting against the weather is a really big problem for us. Another issue that a lot of soldiers, I'm sure, are aware of and I've had experience with is certain members of leadership can be hard to work with, or they don't fully understand how a system works, or the things that go into making this sort of program effective and how it works. And where, like, as a drone unit, as a drone team who brings in private funding, who funds it all ourselves, we don't get any resources from brigade or battalion except for ammunition. We would like to be able to pick our target packages, right? We would like to choose the targets that we're going to hit so that we know we're getting the absolute value for the drone. But as experience has showed us, we don't really get that decision. We don't get to make those choices. Higher up leadership gives us the targets and we just hit it, right? And sometimes we spend 13 drones on a hole in the ground because they tell us there's Russians in there and we don't really get a choice to say no, which is surprising to me, but it is what it is, right? So like, last I heard, there was like one blindage, which is a bunker that we had used 13 drones on. So
That's insane. I've never heard anything like this. 13 drones.
Yeah, $16,500 or $6,500 just to try and blow up some guys on the floor.
That's a fucking inefficient spend of money.
Yeah, I know. That's what I keep saying. And like a lot of people don't like to be honest about those sorts of things. I don't really care. Like it's my life on the line. I'm not going to lie when the mistakes or the problems that we see are caused by people who don't listen.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that my leadership can do to me to harm me. I'm a foreigner, luckily. They can't send me to a trench. I can always break contracts. We can take our drone program elsewhere if we wanted to. That would be like, if there was one change that I would make right now, it would be that. It would just asking for some autonomy from leadership to let us make our decisions and let us do the job the way that we see we should do it.
I think it's very important. And
It would just be more effective.
And these problems in generals and colonels doesn't know anything what's really happening
Yeah.
out there is a big problem, and we must talk about
Mm-hmm.
it because it's causing a huge problems lately.
It's everywhere.
Do you need to take him? No? That's okay. So the thing is, we have a lot of problems with the generals who are not really following this war. They are so behind the current state of this war, and they are causing big problems, like sending FPV pilots to storm the trenches, and they are simply dying.
Well, that's like, we've heard this a few times. There's been other brigades and units with FPV teams, and let's say they run into like an accident like we had where all their equipment gets destroyed, right? Those guys don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
The leadership will just stick them right in a trench because as far as the leadership sees it, they're useless now, right? They can't do their job, which is short-sighted and stupid. The value of an
stupid.
FPV pilot is incredibly high. We're the one thing the Russians want to kill the most right now is
Yeah.
drone pilots.
Yeah.
They want us out of the picture completely.
The
And
most wanted target,
yeah,
I would say.
and to run into like a hurdle where maybe drones got destroyed or your ability to control them or whatever it is gets screwed up and leadership decides that they're just going to waste those resources completely and just throw dudes in the trench, it's stupid. It's a waste. It's a huge waste. As dudes that have been running a team and trying to set it up from the ground up, it's been very obvious to us that good pilots, people that are technologically efficient and know what to do, are rare. It's incredibly rare. Like we've got, out of whatever, the 6 or 7 Ukrainians we've brought in, one's an absolute superstar. Like an absolute superstar. The guy's a god. He can fly incredibly well. He's an incredible engineer. He's smart. He's just the best soldier I could ever ask for. He's been the biggest addition to our team completely. And then the other guys are good, but we need more of this one guy. Right? Like we need 30 of this one dude. And if we had this problem and command decided to send him to the front, like they'll never replace that guy.
Yeah.
That's an impossible position to replace. These guys are so rare, and when you find them, they're so important and so good at their job that leadership and everybody around them needs to let them work, empower them, support them, and we will have good results.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you let the people that are good at their jobs do their jobs, good shit tends to happen.
Yeah.
It's not really hard math, but some people, some leadership, whatever, prefers to have a micromanaging type approach to things, and that can be really annoying. It's really overbearing, right? Like you get told in one breath that you're a separate unit, you guys are autonomous, do what you need to do, but then a minute later, command's down your back, asking all these questions, telling you what to do, trying to force things to go quicker. It's like, you can't force this. Like this is a technology, and R&D is a thing you can't force. You can't speed it up. It needs to have thought and preparedness and like just being careful to make sure that a system that comes out of it is effective. And if the system that comes out is effective, we can spread that to other units, to other brigades. And that's been the whole goal, is to create a system that's easy to copy, it's easy to bring to other units. They can purchase all the parts either through the people that we've purchased it through or through the brigade or whatever, and then they can stand up a fully efficient FPV team as quick as possible. That's the goal. But we keep getting slowed down and hamstrung and hindered by accidents or having to go back out on missions or dig a new bunker, things like that. Like, it's chaos.
Such a bullshit, yeah.
Yeah.
We really need to restructure our army. Really need to put some new doctrines. Is it the right word?
We used to think, doctrine, like we used to think that the Soviet mindset
that's the biggest
was
problem.
limited only to the older commanders. We used to think it was like an age problem or a generational issue. But as we've met more young commanders
who still really act Soviet way?
we've realized
Ooh,
that it's like baked into the officer corps or something like that to have these mistakes, to value promotion or moving up the ladder more than successes on the front, it seems like. Like our area is in pretty dire straits ammunition wise. Like our guys just assaulted a transposition with a BMP with no ammo. They did it successfully somehow, but the fact that they were sent on a mission with no ammo is wild to me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like artillery in our area, we'll take 100 shells for every one we fire. It's bad, and like that's why that is a symptom and a reason that our FPV team is being used to hit everything as much as we can, whenever we can, whatever they can find, because we don't have anything else to hit them. right?
Yeah.
We don't have the shells to waste. We don't have mortars. We don't have SPG. Barely have RPGs. There's a lot of 50 cal ammo, but you can't do a lot with that. So they're doing their best to try and use us to fill those gaps, but drones never existed to fill an artillery gap. Right? We're an addition. We augment all the other assets that the military has.
So you think FPV drones, if they become bigger, more precise, and like flying further, they cannot possibly replace the artillery shells?
So like the artillery brigade that works in our area probably has 400 or 500 guys to run all of the guns, the supplies, the ammunition, and all the shit in the background, right? And that's to cover like our whole area of operation. We have 10 dudes, including myself. There's 10 guys.
But
Right.
you know that, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting
No, go
you.
ahead.
I know where you're following, but Madjar, you know, he's forming the battalion now. He's gonna be the battalion commander, battalion of just drones.
Interesting.
Madjar is gonna have at least 500 or 600 people there. They're operating only FPVs, droppers, and of course Mavics and wings for reconnaissance. But those battalions started forming, and
That's
we
good.
just need to press harder
Yeah.
to make more of those battalions.
Yeah, and that's what, see, you need the exact same amount of material and personnel support for drones, for artillery, for everything. Like, a lot of our stuff gets slowed down because we also have to do all the driving and the movement and the pickups and supply deliveries for all of our stuff. So if we had, today we were going to build a bunch of drones, but it's just myself and the engineer in the house, and we have all these tasks to go pick up ammo, pick up whatever from wherever, I have to bring him with me. Because I don't speak enough Ukrainian to go to these places and ask them, tell them what I need, whatever. So I have to bring the engineer. And then the workload gets put to the side for the next day or the next day, and all this stuff takes forever. So like, having FPV pilots is important. Having engineers is very important. But also having support structure to keep those guys doing what they need to do and everything else in the background gets done is very important. That's a thing we don't have yet.
Yeah.
That's a thing we want, but it's slow. It's
Yeah.
like this drone team with my friends has been building for like 4 months now. And like I said, we're still at only 10 guys, right? Maybe you can count it as 9 guys.
I think the number of people is also a problem. You know that mobilization, so called here in Ukraine, conscription. It has failed in 2023. This is why we just maybe your unit will be gathering more men if we had those men.
It would be nice.
Yeah, the problem
just-
is we just don't have the recruits.
I'd say
right
the other
now.
hard part is finding the right people.
Yeah.
Like our engineer was an engineer of electrical systems before the war. That's why he's so good at what he does. But those sorts of things don't seem to get counted or considered when people are getting brought into the military. Whether it be volunteer, conscription, whatever, it doesn't seem like your prior experience or your prior professions or any of that really have weight on where you go.
That's another
Right.
problem of our mobilization.
Like in
It doesn't
training with the
count over.
National Guard, their artillery unit came and asked us for training, and the guy spoke really good English. And I was like, "Oh, what did you do before the war?" He's like, "I was a neurosurgeon."
What the fuck?
Why the fuck are you on artillery?
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of hospitals, there's plenty of brain damage, plenty of brain injuries that could probably use, I don't know, a brain doctor, but maybe I'm stupid. And this guy's working artillery.
No, you're not,
Like,
man.
and that you see that so much. You run into people with really, really good professions, and they're assaulting a trench.
Yeah, the problem with conscription in Ukraine is
Yeah.
huge. That's the thing.
They need to restructure that too. Like believe me, I'm not against a level of conscription. Like we need people to fight, and
Yeah.
the people who walk around able-bodied, screaming "Slava Ukraini" but never do shit to help, go to the front.
Yeah.
Like myself, my friends, all the other foreigners didn't come here to watch people do nothing.
And you know that's scary.
Yeah.
Not everyone's
course
ready
it's
for
scary.
that. No.
Yeah, no, it's scary, nearly fucking dying.
Yeah.
7,000 miles from your home. It's not a fun time.
Yeah.
But it's still the right thing to do. We still came here, we still did it. So
Yeah.
to have, it's always the people that, they're always, oh, I love my country so much, but I'm not going to fight for it. Mm-hmm. If you love it, show it. If you care, show it. It's not hard. Go find a recruiting office, find a recruiting officer who's not an idiot, and then get yourself placed somewhere where you're valuable. Like, this war isn't all storming trenches. Right? There's a million positions, a million jobs, and there's a million ways to be useful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just some dumb Canadian, and I came here and I found a way to be useful for the last 13, 14 months. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I don't speak the language. Right? It doesn't get much harder than not saying, like, being able to talk to people. And we've made it work.
Man, I think it's inevitable for each and every person, seeing how all of this is unraveling right now, how our partners failing to provide us with the help they already promised, you know. I think it's inevitable that each and every one of us will be fighting in the future, and this war and future wars that are gonna be waged around the world, because this is just looks like a fucking beginning, because 2023 showed me this.
It's
and
gonna
I
go
think
for a while.
yeah, I actually am a civilian to the very core of mine, and I was always afraid of war, and all of this was so far from me. But lately, for the last few months, I started thinking that it's inevitable. I started preparing. I went to the tactical medicine courses. Bit by bit, I'm getting close to that. Really defending my country with weapons in hands is inevitable, probably. So yeah, man, as you've said, we all have
end
to
up
do
there
this.
eventually.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the thing, is like, maybe you don't have to fight, but you do shit like you guys do, right? You do this sort of thing. Do something.
yeah,
Right, like-
I already do something,
Exactly.
but it feels like
all
not
that matters
enough.
is something. It
for
never
now.
feels like enough. I'm fighting the war. It doesn't feel like enough. Like, it's never going to feel like the right amount. But knowing you do something is going to make you feel better, whether it be victory or defeat that comes. The people who participated, the people who put something into it, will be a different group than everybody else who didn't. Right, and we will always have this family of people that supported Ukraine and people that fought for what was right. And the people that, you know, by the end of it choose not to be part or choose to abstain or be neutral or whatever they want to call it, they have to live with that. So that's on them to live with.
The problem is they won't have a chance to live with that for long. This is gonna affect them.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna affect them hard.
And, you know, let's say we win. The vibe I get is the first thing that's going to happen after victory is another revolution. People want change. People are tired of corruption. They're tired of seeing the problems that we see again and again and again and again. And it will change. And what comes with that is maybe the people who didn't help this country end up as second class. Who knows? But like I said, that's an individual person's choice. And by the end of it, we all have to live with ourselves. And I know whenever I go home, whenever the end of the war is for me, I'll know I did everything I could do. Everything I could do that I was able to do, I did. I tried my best, I worked my hardest, and I can live with myself. And to me, that's all that matters. As long as I can live, I'm good.
Well, Jack Groot, this was a pleasure to meet you
It was
and
a pleasure
have
meeting
this
you as well,
amazing
brother.
conversation. I will be posting this video in a few days.
Okay.
Rick the Ukrainian, the name of the channel.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, we're raising funds not just for trucks but for everything.
Yep.
And you can contact me. Of course, there's a line of requests because our resources are limited also.
Yeah.
But I will gladly take your request and put it in the line and help you someday.
Roger that,
So
bro. I appreciate it.
you can contact me and we'll be happy to
What was
help
it on
you.
YouTube?
Rick the Ukrainian.
Rig?
Rick. No,
Rick?
no, Rick.
Oh, I'm retarded, sorry.
No. You're
Я
not.
канадский долбоёб, вибачте.
The Ukrainian. Долбоёб?
That's me. Я канадский долбоёб.
Канадский долбоёб. Okay, so the video is still being recorded. Thank you for subscribing.
No worries, bro.
I wasn't here to advertise the channel. I was just wanted
No, it's good to meet more.
to
It's
ask
always
you
good to
to
meet more.
contact me if you need something, guys.
Do you use Instagram?
I use it, but not very often. Better YouTube. There's an email there. Discord community. If you use Discord,
Yeah, I got
you can
Discord.
join there.
Well, I was a gamer before the war. That's kind of why I'm so good with drones, to be honest. By the way, if anybody's a video gamer, you played a lot of like Battlefield, anything with helicopters, planes, you're a drone pilot. Go. It's that simple. I swear to God, it's that easy.
Yeah, I'm a gamer myself.
Dude.
Former gamer. I'm not a gamer anymore.
FPVs fly the exact same as helicopters in like any console video game. It's the same fucking thing. Like, the
Neutral?
exact same.
One important thing, we have jammers now. So FPVs, yeah, it is a threat still, but for now, for like 2 or 3 months, we have a decision, these jammers. Then we will innovate and develop something more interesting for more frequencies, more universal, and we will jam all of these orcs FPVs.
And they're going to do the same thing to us, which sucks.
No. Don't worry. Don't worry.
They're gonna, I promise. They're already
keep
working on
He
it.
is realistic. He's optimistic. You're realistic.
Yeah, I try.
I'm optimistic too, but mostly realistic lately. Okay, Jack. Once again,
Oh, no
nice
worries,
to
brother.
meet you.
Pleasure
Thank you
meeting
for
you.
your service. And
Doing my best, bro.
we gonna fight for our victory
Hell yeah,
because
dude.
there's no other option.
This country's worth it. It's a beautiful place full of beautiful people.
Yeah, man.
What better to die for?
Slava Nazi. You know what to say.
Smelt bra.
Yes, thank you.